In this video, I'm going to show you a technique that I've found quite successful for building unique characters applied to the Barbarian. A technique called reflavoring. Dungeons & Dragons is a game where mechanics meets story. Reflavoring is when you do not change the mechanics but find a new story that fits them. Let's say you're a wizard but you want to be a magical puppet maker instead. You could take the spell Mage Hand. You'll notice that it's described as a glowing hand and can do a bunch of stuff. But a glowing hand doesn't really fit the vibe of your toy-making magic user. So, if without changing any of the mechanics or how the spell functions, you instead just describe the hand as a glowing little marionette, that is reflavoring. Now your Mage Hand will feel unique to you, but it also will still be Mage Hand. And you can take this concept that we just applied to a single cantrip, but expand it out to an entire subclass. Some will be easier to craft than others, but you'd be surprised how weird things can get when you stop caring what the flavor text says. And considering you are not changing the rules, the crunch, the dice of the game, anything that you can come up with that works will be balanced. Everyone already knows that barbarians are the coolest class in D&D. They might not have the most complicated kit at their disposal, but what they do so well. Using this technique, let's build some barbarians that don't just feel like an ancient warrior, or a Viking, or a spiritual warrior, or an ancient spiritual Viking warrior. Let's make a weird one. Actually, let's make 3 weird ones. Let's make a cyborg and an alien symbiote and, I don't know, how about somebody that can control gravity? Sounds pretty different than a normal barbarian, and actually will be stupidly easy to do. Let's start with turning the Path of the Ancestral Guardian into a quantum-shifting gravity bender. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the Path of the Dying Star. The first thing we're gonna do is completely ignore all of this beginning text about revering ancestors and getting special tattoos. Instead, let's tell a tale of a barbarian whose relationship to math has gotten a little bit weird. On a primal level, they have found a connection to one of the laws of the universe, gravity. You could actually start incorporating this flavor before you get to your subclass by describing your rage not as your character amping up with fury, but as a gravitational swell. Ancestral protectors can be reflavored as an amplification focus. When you target a creature with your attacks, fighting anything other than you is like fighting against a gravitational pull. At 6th level, Spirit Shield becomes Force Diminisher. You manipulate the weight of your enemy attacks, reducing their damage. At 10th level, Consult the Spirits becomes Quantum Anomaly. You can now bend spacetime to see the probable outcome of certain actions, or bend the space around you to peer into far-off locations. And at 14th level, Vengeful Spirits becomes Force Redistribution. Your power over gravity has grown such that not only can you dampen enemy attacks, you can even refocus their force back at them. And boom, suddenly you're a weird science experiment or an X-Men character. Congratulations. You digging the vibe so far? Consider subscribing to the channel. But what if I want to transform into some sort of Cronenbergian cosmic horror monster? Or I just want to be Venom? Well, that's also pretty easy to do. And it starts with the Beast Barbarian, the Path of the Symbiote. You are not a warrior. You're just a guy that was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe you stumbled into a weird eldritch ceremony. Maybe an alien symbiote landed from space and wrapped itself around you, but either way, something inside you is changing, stirring, growing. When you rage, describe your body as changing form. Maybe cosmic goo wraps you in biological armor, or maybe your flesh transforms into hardened chitinous plates. At 3rd level, Form of Beast becomes symbiotic weapons. You barely need to reflavor this feature at all. When in your symbiotic form, you grow a terrifying maw, or giant claws, or even writhing tendrils. At 6th level, Bestial Soul becomes Adaptive Form. Your alien parasite can now radically alter your body, changing you to be best suited for the environment that you are in. At 10th level, with Infectious Fury, you literally don't need to change anything, as the psionic nature of your alien parasite becomes part of your attacks. And at 14th level, Call of the Hunt becomes Shared Symbiosis. Your alien parasite can now reach out to your allies, giving them some of its strength to better empower you. And boom, you are a movie monster, or a Spider-Man villain. Side note, this one works particularly well if you want to be Venom, especially with the biting and the jumping and all that. Here's another quick one for you if you only have the player's handbook. We are going to turn the Totem Barbarian into a sci-fi super soldier. The Path of the Cyborg. You're a soldier from a far-off future sent back in time to save the world, or you're just playing a regular sci-fi game. Your body has been changed to accept augmentations, cybernetics, robotic implants, etc. First, just reflavor that rage as overcharge, as all your cybernetics kick into action. At 3rd level, Spirit Seeker becomes reconnaissance tools. You can implant audio-visual devices in the local wildlife and interface with them. Or if that's too morbid, you could flavor it as you give them little vests with cameras and microphones. All of your totem features can be reflavored as modular upgrades. At level 3, the bear totem could be tempered flesh. At level 6, the eagle totem could be telescopic lenses. At level 14, the elk totem could be hydraulic charge. You could make this work with any of the totems. The flavor is just as customizable as the subclass. At 10th level, Spirit Walker can be reflavored as satellite imagery. Instead of getting information about the local terrain from the spirit of the forest, you tap into an orbital satellite or launch a little drone to get aerial photos. And that's it, you're a robot person. This technique can be applied to just about anything in Dungeons & Dragons. So long as you don't change the mechanics, you're not going to change the balance of what you're making. Now keep in mind, you're still playing D&D in a game world, so the Dungeon Master might not love it if they're playing a high fantasy game and you come in with Cyberpunk Robotron. But if you have an idea that you're working on that fits in your Dungeon Master's game world, or better yet, you're working on with your Dungeon Master so that their story and the game world story can be even more entwined, well, that's just gravy, baby. But what if there's something that you want to accomplish that you just can't do without using homebrew? Like maybe some sort of shadow monster barbarian that can continue their rage so long as they're hidden, and maybe can open little pocket dimensions and pull people through them. Like a bagman. What if I want to be the bagman? Well, then you could check out the Hide Behind Barbarian. It's part of the Darkwood Compendium that I am putting out right now on my Patreon. A collection of player options, Dungeon Master tools, encounters, magic items, and more, all with this spooky, haunted forest vibe. And our library is always growing. I add 3 to 4 new pieces every week. Thank you to all the patrons that support me, and a special thank you to Billy Frakes, Andy Dodge, Lena, and Elder Barry, my High Council. See you in the next one.